Welcome to the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside Louisville, Kentucky, where it's nice and sunny and warm finally for a change. And I'm hoping that the weather is the same in Maryland for you, my longtime friend, great coach, all around good egg, John Webster. How you doing, John?
Yeah, I'm doing real good, man. Hope everybody else is doing well too. Beautiful day, beautiful day here in Maryland. 80 plus degrees today, 80 plus degrees tomorrow. I am absolutely positively excited. There's only one thing I'm more excited about, and that is NCAA basketball. That's the only thing is I'm more excited about than the weather. So, man, let's get into it. Let's start off talking about the men. You got a Final Four of UConn, Illinois, Michigan, and Arizona. I guess the biggest thing we'll start off with first. The shot heard around DC.
Yes, indeed.
Duke goes down to defeat to UConn, man. What do you think, man?
Well, I mean, look, John, if I said I would have expected that kind of ending, I'd be lying. But the thing about it is, there's been I've listened to debate the last couple of days about whether UConn won it, Duke lost it, and I mean obviously UConn won it, but I would not dare say that. Well, Duke lost that game at first glance because again, it's like who would have expected a sequence like that in the final 10 seconds that you figure they're going to foul and they commit a turnover that leads to a game-winning three. If that shot doesn't go in, we're not having this discussion. We're not putting it in any kind of historical context. But here we are. And John, that's the thing that's another thing that makes March Madness fantastic. And of course, in my part, my part of the world, I should say, folks here in Kentucky are loving it because, while of course they're not UConn fans, but they're 30 something years later, John, they are still smarting over the Christian Laettner shot. Well, I don't know whether this one supplants that or not, but Mullins hitting that shot to beat Duke. Sure, nobody was crying any kind of tears for Duke. And John, it just shows you how great this thing is and how quickly a game can change. And I'm not going to assign blame. The only thing I'll just say is you have to give credit to UConn for winning that game from not really falling into a funk despite being 19 points down, wiping out that deficit, and really just fighting down to those last, 2 or 0.3 seconds and creating an opportunity for itself. That says a lot about the heart of UConn players, the Husky players. It says a whole lot about how Danny Hurley gets them prepared. You can practice that all you want, but for it to be executed, that kind of defense and create that kind of opportunity, John, a part of it is preparation, and sometimes you create your own luck.
Well said, Gary. I'm in agreement. I think UConn won the game. I'm not one to start looking at blaming. The thing I've always said, things happen in the beginning of the game people forget about.
Yeah,
Plays at the end are what they remember. But it's
yeah.
also plays in the beginning that contribute to a loss or a win. And Duke had a couple rough breaks. Um, One of the things they're saying is they could have held the ball, gotten fouled, go to the line because they're in a bonus situation. Yeah, that could
Mhm.
have happened. The thing that you look at, they were on the way to breaking the press. They had hit Cam Boozer with a pass, then Boozer had thrown it back to them Ingba and Gumba. and Montgomery hit a pass right in the middle of the court to Caden Boozer.
Hmm. Yeah.
And Boozer unfortunately tried to throw the ball over top instead of faking up top and
Making
doing a
out.
bounce pass down low. You
Yeah.
know, it's
And I can't
unfortunate.
fault him for that. I really can't fault him for that. I know he took responsibility, but again, it's like, John, you haven't played the game. Instinct takes over in different ways. You know.
Gary, I'm going to tell you this. What happened there is humanality. It was a mistake. It
Yeah.
happened. But
Hmm.
if Caden Boozer does not play against St. John's or in this game, without him and Cam, they wouldn't be where they were. I mean, don't forget on Friday night, Duke was down 12 to St. John's and had switched
Yeah.
to a defense and went to a zone.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just not me, man. I don't look to blame. You win as a team, you lose as a team. You have some plays that are unfortunate. You learn from them. Caden Boozer, he's a heck of a guy. He stood up, took the heat, but I don't blame him. He did because that's the type of person that he is.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of other things that went sideways. If you went back and you wanted to dissect the game, if you looked at the second half, from the very beginning of the second half, Duke was committing turnovers and they were committing fouls. They were in the was it 1-1 by the
Hmm.
10-minute mark or something like that? Maybe been even before that
Yeah.
because of 3 minutes in, they already had 4 or 5 fouls.
Hmm.
And then you look at each TV timeout, that 19-point lead was less. It continued to be
Yeah.
chipped away, and chipped away until you ended up with what you had. A
Hmm.
game like that. And when you end up with like that and you go from 19 to 5 to tied to 2, anything can happen, Gary.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. And that's what happened. Anything happened. I mean, the other thing, what happened as well on that kid Mullen got a very open look at that last shot.
Mhm.
If you go back and do it again, somebody's going to put a hand in his face.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things that happen, beginning and end, that they could have done differently.
Yeah.
But the thing you got to do, you got to give UConn credit. That aircraft carrier they had, Reed, he kept him in the game. He had 24 points, and
Yeah.
I think he had double digits in rebounds too. He's
Yeah.
the one that kept them right there and until they were ready to make a run. And that kid Mullen can shoot. Uh,
Emery, playing defense.
Caravan, and then
Caravan. Yeah.
they're tough, man. They're tough. They're well seasoned, and this is their third Final Four in 4 years. So them playing Illinois, who knows what's going to happen, man? It's going to be interesting. But I
Yeah.
tell you what, when you go to that other side, you really got something interesting with Arizona and Michigan, and they're blowing everybody out like it's nothing. So I think you're going to have a really exciting game with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would, before we went on, I was just thinking the thing to look forward to in the Final Four, or the really the overriding question is which team appears to be set up to be to possibly dominate the Final Four. And the reason I say I put it like that is that let's just look at the UConn, their most recent championship. Nobody could touch them that year, 2 years ago. They were winning games by double digits. Michigan, that I saw a stat, I think they're winning games. They've won games in the tournament by an average of nearly 23 points a game. I want to say that Arizona's average margin of victory was something like 12 to 15. The last that I looked, and um, even when even when Michigan lost to Duke in DC last month, Yeah, that was yeah when they played there
Hmm.
last month. That I was thinking that's the kind of loss that maybe that Michigan needed to kind of reset and that one had all of the makings of a Final Four game in it, and I don't know. I want to feel like that's something that they carried down the stretch with them, and you could even look, to them falling in the conference tournament. That was one of those things. It's like, okay, another learning experience, because we always like to say you learn more from a loss than you do from a win, and say whatever about over matches, but when you get to that second weekend and things, that difference between teams, it really shrinks down to a few things, and the Wolverines have just been strong throughout. Same with Arizona, and that my I don't even want to say that's going to be the most interesting matchup on Saturday, because again, when you talk about UConn and Illinois, and to speak to Illinois and Michigan, for all of the talk about the ACC, or maybe, well, I don't even want to say the SEC, but for how good Florida looked in the SEC, for how great Duke was in the ACC. Really, the best top to bottom conference was the Big Ten.
They were tough, man, because you had Illinois, you had Michigan, you had Michigan State, you had Purdue.
You had
All four of
Wisconsin.
those,
Yeah,
Wisconsin, and four, the first four teams are
yeah,
called all in the Sweet 16.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, and who else did you have there that was decent?
Hmm.
They had some
I want to see
teams
this.
there.
Yeah, I want to say, UCLA had some moments as
Yeah,
well. Yeah,
UCLA, got better as the
yeah,
season went on. Well,
yeah,
we're gonna see. It would be interesting to see if you're gonna have all Big Ten final, or if you don't have any Big Tens in the representation. It's gonna be interesting. I think one of the things I'll say, Illinois is hard to beat. They got the kid Keaton Wagner. He's
mhm,
probably one of the best players in the country. Not probably, he is one of the best players in the country. He's going to have a definitive mark on the game against UConn. I mean, you look at Michigan. Dusty May has done a wonderful job with Michigan. They got aircraft carriers, they got guards. Was it Lundenberg is a great ball player that they have. So them going against Arizona, I don't know what's going to happen. That's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to be tossem, 50, pick 'em. It's going to be pick 'em on that. We'll
yeah,
we'll see what's going to happen there. Two very very strong teams. They've been in the top five in the country all this season. Uh, they're really good, man. They're really really good.
yeah. The thing with that matchup, um, I don't know if given how well both of them play defense, I don't know if you say first one to 60 wins, or because they can both, light it up on the scoreboard, first one to 80 wins. That's the whole thing.
You talking about Arizona, Michigan?
Yeah.
Shoot, first one to 80. They're not gonna take their eye out of the ball, Gary. They're gonna get up
No,
and
I
down the
don't
court.
know. I'm not saying they're going to take the air out of the ball, but remember, I mean, Michigan is a very strong defensive team, and I think Arizona's defense is underrated, and for again, our expectations are that it could be, kind of a track meet, and I kind of see something in between. Maybe we could say 70 points or something like that, but sometimes the hype that we have doesn't match the reality of the game, especially if neither team is knocking down shots, or if both teams are really clamping down on defense to keep, really try to keep them into a half court game, or make them, say, work the ball around the perimeter, or try hard to make the dribble drive a lot harder. Those are factors I feel like it's like, okay, and I'm speaking maybe from a betting standpoint. Do you take the over or the under? And
well, I don't bet, Gary, but I
well,
will.
neither do I. But I'm just
Yeah,
saying maybe you have to look at it from that anything can
I,
happen in a game like that.
I will say this: at worst, it'll be the first to 70. At worst,
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
both teams
Yeah.
are very
And split
strong
the
defensively.
difference.
Yeah, but I don't see a 60-point game, but I can see 70. But I more so see in the 80s.
Yeah.
But we go from there.
Yeah.
Man, you got some exciting stuff going on the women's side, man. You got the return of the
Yeah.
same Final Four that you had last year. You got
Hmm.
UCLA, you got Texas, you got UConn, and you have South Carolina. And South Carolina plays UConn, Texas plays UCLA. What do you think, Gary Graves?
Uh, um, coin flip. That's the way I look at it. But with both of those matchups, um, I'll say this: having seen South Carolina up close a couple of times and looking at how they have done their postseason, how they have played this postseason, that little by little, you have started to see that you've seen players develop their own profile, and you've seen the personality of the squad come out a little bit more. Um, I'm trying to remember Okat. I think that's the one who I've just seen kind of come on, but um, I'm trying to think of another player. I want to say Johnson and Williams. Those are two players that have really come into their own in this tournament. And I think you see a number of players that one of which could probably emerge and really be that take charge. Raven Johnson. I was trying to remember the name, but um, it's just I think Dawn Staley has spent all season trying to get somebody to really, say, look, okay, I'm going to be the big dog, or I'm going to be the aircraft carrier, like you like to refer to, and that's what I like about South Carolina. It's not so much about the margin of victory with them; it's how they've come to that point, and that's what I think makes them formidable. UConn has, I'll say, they have been UConn, but they're not the UConn of last spring where it just seemed they were blowing out everybody. I would not say they're not as good a team or anything by any stretch, but it's like now some teams are closing the gap on them. And I do think South Carolina might be on a little bit of a revenge tour when they face them. But you just have to, not focus so much on revenge as much as doing everything that you've done well in this tournament against the team to beat.
Well, I want, I'm rooting for South Carolina. I'm still not sure if South Carolina can get the tempo they need. Um, UConn with Sarah Strong, with AZ Fudd. Quinones came off the bench, hit 20 plus points this past week in the last game. UConn's tough. UConn needs a pace. They can run, but they run when they pick their spots. They would rather have a precision offense and get you in a half
Mhm.
court sets. I think the tempo is going to be a key for South Carolina. I think one of the things that Staley has done this year, she has, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, I think she has more bench strength this year. I think
Yeah,
she's able to move, bring in a few others, and she has some aircraft carriers. And that's going to help, down low to get those rebounds and to get what you need. Joyce Edwards is very a quiet ball player, and she gets the quietest 20 points and 8 rebounds you ever want to see, but she's very good and very consistent.
yeah.
Raven Johnson, she's the heartbeat for this team. She has them going. What's her name? Tessa
Te-
Edwards, Tessa Johnson.
oh, Tessa. Yeah, I think it's Tessa Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, if she gets on fire with her shot and hitting those threes, watch out. I'm rooting for South Carolina, but they got to get the pace they need, and they're going to have to control the boards.
Yeah,
Watching UConn against Notre Dame, they lost. Notre Dame lost by 38 the last time. They lost by 16 or something, but they played a lot better. But what hurt them in the third quarter, they couldn't get a rebound.
yeah.
UConn's bigs were all over the boards and controlling everything. South Carolina has to control the boards, and they have to get a tempo that is a little bit more up than what UConn likes to be playing in.
Yeah, yeah. And again, that's one of those things that I've seen down the stretch with them. Um, there were times that they really looked uneven. I don't want to say ragged, but just uneven. And I think they were kind of looking at looking at somebody to step up. And sometimes it happened just by default. With Johnson, Edwards. Edwards. I really like her play here of late because when you talk about quiet points, quiet contributions, she's made more noise by being quiet. It's not until you look at the box score after it was like, yeah, she had a good game, but I didn't know it was that good. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's the thing about South Carolina. Yeah. Joyce Edwards. Just I think the expectations on her from the beginning of the season, you're starting to see her fulfill them now, and I think that's what Staley is really enjoying and taking a lot of pride in, and seeing that kind of growth in a player such as Edwards to be, to really create a lot more options. And when you mention depth, and I keep thinking about some of the guards that they have that they have coming off the bench that are good disruptive guards defensively and are good ball handlers, good floor generals, and they really keep that flow going that she wants. Now, on the other side of the bracket, uh, with UCLA, uh, I don't know what more you can really say about. We were talking about dominance. Um, it took a little bit more to beat Duke. Duke was just a well-rounded team, but they just kind of really, I don't want to say nickel and dime them, but it was like um, they kind of toyed with the outcome, with the excuse me, with the flow of the game, that they they looked like they were slowing down, and then all of a sudden the light would come on, and then they would get out to say a 10, 12, 14 point lead, and I think ended up winning by like 12. Less dominant than some of their earlier round games, but a team that's really rounding into shape and knows that they can get their scoring. We talk about Lauren Betts and just the contributions that she makes on both ends of the floor. You can't really say anything. You can't dissect her game that much. She's going to be a force, and I think that's one reason why going in, I really like UCLA's chances. I mean, I think that they have a really good opportunity to get to the final, to get to the championship. But there's Texas, and Texas might be the most dominant team or playing the most dominant ball at this point heading in there. Um, Madison Booker, what more can you say about her? But the kind of defense, the zone defense they play, the matchup zones that they play have really stifled a lot of teams, and you got to give Vic Schaefer credit really for making that happen and kind of doing things. I'll say on the fly, because we know that they can play good man defense, but when you see how they've played. Their zones and really limited options on the perimeter, and sometimes inside, it's kind of scary how well they're playing right now, and then the points just the points have just come for them off of that.
Well, I got a change of mind with UCLA, Gary. I was saying last week they're a hard team, and they are a good team. And they've earned the right. They get to a championship game. If they win the championship, it's the first time since 1978. I think I forget the coach's name. She's done a wonderful job. You got Lauren Betts. She's a terrific ball player. You got was it Kiki Price?
Yeah, Keegan
Another,
Price. Yeah,
yeah, another great player. But out of the four teams in this Final Four, I'm going to go back on what I've said before, Gary. I think UCLA is the weakest of the four teams. As I was watching them Sunday against Duke, Duke was considerably smaller, but they were giving the fifth. Duke ran out of gas,
yeah.
and plus
Eh,
Duke couldn't hit shots,
Yeah, that
and
yeah, that
yeah,
there was that, and they weren't getting those offensive rebounds that gave them so many second chance opportunities in their previous rounds.
you're right. UCLA's front line is big. They got 6'7". They got another kid 6'4", but they aren't the most mobile, Gary. And UCLA does not give me the impression of being able to get out and do some things, agile things with running up and down the court and making the game instead of a half court game, making it a full court run. I don't think that's what they do. I think they'll struggle at that. I do not think they have an answer for Madison Booker. I do not think they'll have an answer for that.
Yeah.
She is a tremendous player. Vic Schaefer has really worked hard for these kids. You remember back about a month and a half ago, Gary, you and I were laughing because the sky was falling. Remember he had us talk to
Hmm.
his kids, and worst thing in the world, and they were still in the top five.
Hmm.
So I think Texas wins. I think Texas beats UCLA.
Yeah,
Um,
I would agree with that. You know, when you put it that way.
and I think I'm rooting for South Carolina. Wouldn't mind seeing South Carolina, Texas one time, but this UConn team is tough, man, and I'm not sure about the matchup. I'm going with South Carolina because you know how I feel about South Carolina, Dawn Staley. They have a wonderful program and they do a wonderful job with those kids. So we'll see how it plays out, man.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it will be Texas and South Carolina. And again, that is no slight to UConn, but again, when you what is it? They're what 37 and 0, 38 and 0. And familiarity breeds contempt, as we like to say in sports. Uh, South Carolina is the kind of team that can prove that has proven over the years that they figure it out maybe by the second or third time, but definitely in a rematch they're a much different team. Last year's championship game was different because UConn was that team that figured it out
Mm-hmm.
and won going away, and South Carolina, as a defending champion, ran out of gas. And that I don't see UConn running out of gas, but I do see South Carolina being the kind of team that they're on a mission. Yeah, they're on a mission. Texas might be a team of destiny because they're playing their best ball the right part of the season. It could be an all SEC final.
Hey, I would look forward to it. I would enjoy it. I think if Texas gets past UCLA, South Carolina, and if South Carolina gets past UConn, I take South Carolina to beat Texas for the national championship. But we'll see, man. Just do me one favor, Gary.
What's
Be
up?
in front of a TV on Saturday and Sunday, man. Just be in front of a TV, man. Just be in front of a TV.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, there's a
Saturday,
whole lot.
Sunday, and Monday.
Oh yeah, Saturday, yeah, yeah, all 3 days because, well, John, when you put it that way, Friday through Monday, yeah, because the women's
Yeah,
semifinals are Friday night. So,
yeah,
um,
yep.
yeah, and look, I'm going to be in front of a TV, and then on Sunday, I'm going to have a plate in front of me
I ain't
after I get my worship on.
I ain't mad at you, man. Hey, Gary, go ahead and take us home, man.
Well, hey, no offense to baseball. We know you're out there, but hey, this is the weekend. Two championships will be decided yeah, in basketball. You've got the Frozen Four coming into focus a little bit more in college hockey. Baseball will get to you, but you know, again, it's like we get into April, first week of April, we're always talking about basketball. So watch the women's Final Four, watch the men's Final Four. If you can squeeze in a little bit of hockey, baseball, yeah, you know, they're shaking a rust off now this first
Mhm.
week of the season. So there's a whole lot to watch, and there's a whole lot for us to talk about. So come on back. See us next week. We'll be trying to break down everything, but mostly about who the champions are in the NCAA. And John, I don't think it gets any better than that.
Hey, thanks for watching us again this week. Another exciting week. As Gary said, watch some NCAA basketball. Watch the men's Final Four. Watch the women's Final Four. Watch some hockey. Watch some soccer. Watch some NBA basketball. But above all else, just watch some sports and come back and see us. Take care. See you soon.